everyone, it's your girl Brain Shanae, and today is my stop for Hear Our Voices book tour, and I am going to be doing a book review for The Secret to a Southern Wedding, and this is by Synithia Williams. And right off the bat, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this so much. I also love the fact that this is not just a romance book. I feel like it's a lot more than that. It's not only about love, but it's also about forgiveness, second chances, and finally pursuing your own happiness and letting go of the past. So with this particular book, we are featuring one of the main characters is Imani. She is an OBGYN in Florida. And she is named the Doctor of the Year, which is an honor, and it's amazing. Imani is taking it all in and embracing it. And then out of nowhere, she gets this wedding invitation, and she's like, wait, what is this? And it's a wedding invitation to her mother's wedding, and she was just completely thrown off guard. I feel like any person would be thrown off guard, especially when you don't even know that your mother was dating in the first place, and then coming to find out that her mom only dated this man only a few weeks. So she was just completely thrown, and so she returns to Peachtree Cove, Georgia, which is where she's from, where she grew up. It's a small town in Georgia. And, you know, she never thought she'd be returning to this town, especially from what happened in the past regarding her mother and her father and his mistress. And so she really doesn't trust men due to what her father has done. And usually just with that alone, she finds the worst in people, especially when it comes to men. And so when she went to Peachtree Cove, you know, she did stop at one of her spots to get a corn dog or whatever, and there was a mishap with some mustard on a man's shirt that she just was mesmerized by just instantly when she saw his face, but nothing came about of it until later on. So she's in Peachtree Cove, Georgia. Now we're meeting one of the other main characters named Cyril, who lives in Peachtree, Georgia, who moved down from the Midwest to the South, and with his father, Preston. So Cyril, he has his own bar, he owns it, his own, has his own business, and he just wants to see his father happy, especially with what happened with his mother and what they went through, which is one of the reasons why they also moved to Georgia in the first place, just to get away from it all and away from the public, away from family accusing them of this. And which I'll just tell y'all is like, so in this book, his mother was murdered. And his dad was accused of killing his wife, killing his mother, Cyril's mother. But come to find out, it was actually a person that she was working with, and the man was obsessed with her and yada, yada, yada. And he had not only done this to Cyril's mother, but he'd done it to a couple of other women as well. So with that, of the accusations of Cyril's father being the murderer, and even with his wife's family still accusing him of in the cause of his his mother's murder, they completely left. They wanted to start a new life. They wanted to start fresh. They didn't really want people to know, because it also is a small town in Peachtree Cove, Georgia. So rumors travel fast and quickly. So as I said, Imani is in Peachtree Cove now from Florida because she got this wedding invitation, and Cyril is at the house with Preston and with Imani's mother. And so when Imani comes in, she sees this guy, and they're like, oh, you're the mustard guy. And they're like, what, y'all met each other already? So it completely threw them off guard. So they're like, oh, so you're the son of the man that my mother is marrying. And she wanted to talk some sense into her mother. It's like, Mom, why would you do this after what all that dad put you through, after what his mistress shot you? And she's like, I have moved on. I'm wanting to be happy. But we start to see other things where Imani's father randomly calls Imani's mom and tries to manipulate her because he's in Puerto Rico when he's about to marry someone. And so Imani thinks that her mother's only doing this because her father is getting married, but that's not the case. I think with Imani's mother, she just wants to move on. And I completely understand that when someone broken your heart and cheated on you, and then your mistress comes to your front door and shoots you, that's a lot of trauma. And even for Imani, which was a lot of trauma, which is why she left Peachtree Cove to do, you know, from the very beginning to deal with that, because she's like, no, I have to leave this. I have to leave the past behind. But her past never left her, because she still, like I said, finds the worst in people. But throughout the book, you sense this connection between Cyril and Imani, and it gets sexual. There is some steamy moments in this book. I'm not gonna lie about that. And I love their relationship. But the thing that was having them, you know, push back from each other is because of their parents were getting married, and they felt like, no, because if our parents get married, then you are technically my you're my brother, you know, my stepbrother, and, you know, to Cyril, that would be his stepsister, right? So they were trying so hard to keep a distance for each other, even though, like, for the first time they met each other, they had some butterflies and rainbow, it was, they felt something, you know. And so, you know, Imani, she was getting to know Cyril. Imani told Cyril what happened when it came to her father and her mother and her father's mistress and what had happened. And Cyril, he was slowly but surely trying to share with her about what happened and why they moved to Georgia in the first place. But he didn't say everything. He left some information out. He was withholding information for a reason. And then out of nowhere, Cyril's aunt just comes into the picture and just blasts everything right in front of Imani. And Imani just like, what? So she completely left. She didn't talk to him or nothing, and headed straight over to her mother's house and told her, even though her mother did know. But she knew some details about it. But the fact that Preston, Cyril's father, was withholding information as well, that really hurt her, because of the past that she dealt with her ex-husband and him cheating on her, and then his mistress is coming, you know, and shoots her. So each couple has dealt with a lot of trauma, and it's just trying to find ways to forgive and try to move on from the past, and also to become happy and find that happiness that you truly want. Because I do believe everyone should be happy. Everyone should have that one person that they love and care about, and that they trust wholeheartedly, and that will not break your heart. So with this book, it had me on a roller coaster of emotions, and I love books that do that. Because, like I said, this is not just a typical romance. It's a lot more than that. It's really, it gets you very emotional. It brings up, like, second chances. But it also talks about, as, you know, since Imani is an OBGYN, she met some friends as she returned back to Peachtree Cove, and how her friend says, you should have your own practice here. You know, here they don't treat us right, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ community. They just turn people away and don't provide them health care. And just from her returning to Peachtree Cove, and then after the mishap with her Cyril and his aunt approaching her, and she's just thrown off guard, she was you know, her mother already canceled the wedding. And then her mother and her were going to go to Florida. They were going to move. So she did go back to Florida for a brief moment to talk to the board or whatever. And she brought up the ideas of how to make, you know, provide good health care and and good service to their patients, which I loved. So I even have the page, I marked it down, where it says, I believe we should include training programs for the staff, doctors, nurses, technicians, and others on ways to recognize warning signs in high-risk patients. Some of our complaints come from minority patients or members of the LGBTQ community about feeling as if their needs are overlooked. It may not be the case with each example, but training to identify ways to recognize bias may help some employees pay more attention to patients when they complain about pain and other symptoms. There haven't been any training programs here that can help employees recognize these kinds of underlying biases so that they can overcome them and be sure their patients get the best care. And of course, they just completely, with this one meeting, they just completely just discredit her and just say, well, I can see this in the future, but, you know, maybe for our next budget cycle, we can look into that. So they really just didn't care what she had to say. They seem to not care about their patients. They care about only the money and the benefits that come, you know, that comes with being a doctor. And so I feel like that was also her breaking point, and that was her wake-up call of recognizing how with her own practice, she can give the best care to everyone and anyone that wants wants healthcare, you know, wants to, you know, be able to go into in a doctor's office and feel like they matter, you know, like they matter, and that they will take care of you, and that you will receive the best health care that you possibly can. So with that alone, I think with her that she felt like she needs to return to Peachtree Cove. And then eventually towards the end of the book, she meets Cyril again, and they realize that they want to be with each other. And so they end up meeting their parents, and they walk in on them. They said that we're not getting married or whatever, but you shouldn't have to worry about what people think or whatever, because you guys want to be happy. Yes, you know, we're together and y'all are together, and people may have their own opinions about this and how this just doesn't look right in society or whatever, but they don't care about that. They care about the fact that they want to be happy, and they want to move away from the past and to forgive and to finally live their lives how they want to live it. And so she does end up moving to Peachtree Cove. Her mother obviously did not move to Florida. She stayed. And, you know, eventually Cyril, like, already said he wanted to marry her. And then towards the end of the book, it was pretty cute. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Because he's like, I've been wanting to marry you once I first saw you. So let me see if I can find it. It says, let's see. It says, her heart squeezed. She couldn't believe it, but she wanted to marry him too. She wanted to sleep next to him, wake up beside him, spend her life being loved by him. You and your dad, y'all love a hasty wedding, huh? He shrugged, but the smile never left his eyes. I guess that's the secret. Move to Georgia, find a sweet Southern belle, and marry her quick. Imani raised her brow, but wrapped her arms around his shoulders. The secret to a southern wedding, huh? So I found that so cute. I just love that ending. I love the realisticness. I know that's probably not a word. I just love how realistic this book is. It's not just lovey-dovey. There's real stuff, real life situations that I really loved and enjoyed with this book. So I highly recommend this book. This is definitely going to be on my top reads of 2023 because I love this so much. I felt this book was very relatable, and I had connection with each and every one of the characters of, you know, with Imani's mom and Imani, and we have Cyril and Cyril's dad. So I had a connection with each and every one of these characters. I love the fact that she's as an OBGYN, she's making sure that everyone is taken care of regardless of, you know, she's not being biased at all, which I love so much. And I love that representation of her knowing how in healthcare people are being ignored, and people saying that a certain people they can tolerate pain more than others. Like, she has in this book she broke a barrier and you know, started her own practice in her hometown. So I enjoyed this book wholeheartedly. I highly recommend it. It's so good. You should definitely pick it up. But that is it. That is my book review for The Secret to a Southern Wedding. I really hope you enjoyed this book review. And yes, definitely pick up the book. I really enjoyed it, and I think you will enjoy it too. But I hope you all are staying healthy and staying safe, and I hope you all have a great day. See ya.